And then she starts the lesson. Again, the kids are hanging off their seat because they're so excited. Every child in the classroom has had an opportunity to talk and give their opinions. Now, I know you've had, and the teacher goes, well, Johnny's sitting over there not saying anything. She says, Johnny, now I know that you have, because she's checked into his background, she knows a little bit about him. A cognitively trained teacher knows about the children. She loves the children. She really believes in her heart that kids can go beyond what the records, what they're coming to the classroom with. And she's determined that she's going to push them beyond that. Remember that untapped potential that Feuerstein talks about that we can't even see. That's really abstract. So again, if we look at these three areas, we're looking at how the brain is broken up into three parts and how we really can work through this. Now, parents will be trained in this also, so that if you have cognitive functions, you can clear them. Because you can say now, do you have problems gathering data, information before you start a project? Do you need a system before you do stuff? Do you have clear perception of things that happen? Do you have clear spatial orientation about where things are? I mean, it's like we got lost one time and we stopped and we asked this guy, well, can you tell us how to get to the mall? And he stood there and he says, well, I thought, ooh, cognitive deficiencies. He thought, say you go down this street, and you go down this street, and I thought, okay, and then you turn around. I thought, oh, impulsivity, labeling, system, precision, accuracy, using two sources of information. Right away, identified who he was. Right away, I knew who he was. Now, if I had not been trained in cognition, I would have thought, well, he does it so much that he doesn't think about it. Well, that's another thing. We want all of our kids to be on an awareness stage where they understand where they are, what they're doing. And if your child has a behavior problem, if that child is on the awareness level, the conscious level, they know what they're doing and they can tell you why. And if they can't, then the teacher can give them the verbal tools that they need. The teacher can give them a clear perception of where they are. Again, if the child has a cognitive block in the input area, then they can't go further. They've stopped. There's a blockage. And kids who do well on tests can still have cognitive deficiencies that we need to work on. So is the academy just for struggling readers or struggling learners? No. It's for any child, because everybody has cognitive deficiencies that have not been developed, and we want to correct them. I want to give you a quick case study. This is Belinda. Belinda is in kindergarten. And we worked with her. She listened to stories, but when we asked her to dialogue, she was pretty quiet in the classroom. So we did a running record of her achievement. She's not comprehending, and she doesn't seem to enjoy books with rhyme. So we were to sing a song, down by the bay where the watermelons grow, back to my home, I dare not go, for if I do, my mother would say, did you ever see a bear combing his hair down by the bay? So she wouldn't join in, and if she did, she couldn't distinguish the rhyming patterns. So she was just sitting there. But the teacher was beginning to think that she just was a slow learner, that she just couldn't get it. So the cognitive consultants went in there and realized that she had undeveloped cognitive functions. That's why. It wasn't that she was becoming mean, a behavior problem. She just couldn't do these things. Well, we know that she could. There were just cognitive functions. We realized that she had blurred and sweeping perception, so we diagnosed her. She had unplanned, impulsive, and unsystematic exploratory behavior. She had a lack of an impaired receptive verbal tool, so she didn't have the vocabulary that she needed. I know these are words that you're probably thinking, what are some of these things? But the teachers will be trained in this because this is Feuerstein's model. Elaboration part, so right away with all these deficiencies, she's closed down. There's a blockage. She's not doing anything now. She's frustrated. She doesn't want to do anything else. Then we notice under the elaboration, she had the inability to select relevant versus non-relevant clues. She had an episodic grasp of reality. She was only in the present. She couldn't think about what happened first, and she couldn't think about what happened last. She was only in the present. The intervention plan. Feuerstein has about 14 instruments that we will take your child through. So the 30 minutes a day will start off with organization of dots. Now keep in mind, they'll have each child within their instructional group will have reading 30 minutes a day, and then we'll rotate and have 30 minutes of instrumental enrichment, which is Feuerstein's model, to do what? Clear up the undeveloped cognitive functions and identify those that are already clear so that the child can move on. You should see jumps in your students, in your child's behavior. Teachers who are working with these students you can't believe how well they do. We want to be careful when the teachers are hired that they really embrace this, because it's something that just doesn't come naturally. You have to embrace it. So all the teachers we hire will embrace this whole intervention program. So these are all of the instruments. The parents will be trained in the instruments, and you are holding one of the instruments. Will you flip it over? It's organization of dots. Now mine is a little bit different from yours, but I want to talk you through it, okay? If you notice, there are no directions on the page. It's content-free. Content-free. And what we want to do is help kids to think. So think about Belinda. She was impulsive. She had no verbal tools. And so we need to give her some right now to help her bridge over into reading, into math, and social studies. So I would say, okay, Belinda, look at that first design. What do you think that is? And you guys respond because you are Belinda. So what is that? It's a square. So if you would, give it to your child and let your child do it, and you just kind of be the mediator today. So you're going to be the teacher. Yes? Does anybody need a pen? So we may clear up some cognitive functions tonight if you're a parent or a teacher that's doing this. So we'll see what happens. Okay? So what is the first design? It's a what? A square. Now don't do anything. Don't mark anything yet. Just hold on. You're not supposed to mark. And so if the child has marked, did I tell anyone to mark? No. So if the child has already done it, that's impulsivity right there. You're already impulsive. And so I'm going to have to say, stop and think. All right, if you're a parent, say to your child, stop and think. Okay? If you are doing it, you need to say to yourself, stop and think. Because we're going to say that a lot to students. I mean, have you noticed a kid will pick up the paper and all of a sudden they're busy working on it, and you look down and everything they have on the paper is wrong. And if you're a parent, you're saying, why did you do that? Now, if you're a parent, I'm a parent, and I know I've said that so many times. Why did you do? And I thought, oh, that's my impulsivity. Oh, I need to slow down. I need to settle down. I need to give this child a system. I need to be in control of my behavior. So Feuerstein puts you in control of your behavior. He makes you stop, and he makes you think. Okay? So we know that this is a square. Is that right? What are the characteristics of a square? What do we know about squares? If you know something, raise your hand. What do we know about squares? So we're stabilizing or establishing verbal tools. Yes? four corners, okay? And if I were really working with